What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we're going to take a look at the Knowhere team. We're going to take a look at their stats, not only individually but together as a team. We're going to take a look at some of their abilities, and we're going to take a look at exclusive information on the speed of some of these characters. Some of that speed is going to be very exciting, other ones not so much. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think about the speed of the characters, but I'm very excited for this team, not only because of what they can do together, but also what they can do individually. I think a lot of these characters are going to change a lot of teams, like the Guardians team, Hero as Guardians, maybe even Rebirth for raids, and of course, some of these characters are going to dominate the arena meta, so keep that in mind for the end of the video where I explain exactly why. But overall, I think this is going to be a very exciting team, with each of the characters providing a lot of value as a whole and also individually. Something that we have to keep in mind with this team is that they do not work the same way that we have with the Gamma or with Weapon X, where they rely on massive burst damage to destroy the enemies. Instead, they work more like Infinity Watch and like Darkhold, where not only they have a nice amount of control and damage, but they outshine every other team because of their sustainability and mitigation of damage. But we are going to break down all that information throughout the video. We are going to compare the stats of each of these characters individually to the newest meta character in the game, which is Quicksilver, and then we are going to take a look at them as a whole on a team, on the same Knowhere team. As always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure to share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, let's get started, because this Knowhere team cannot wait. It's so exciting because they are definitely going to change the meta of Marvel Strike Force. Okay, so let's get started. Once again, we are going to use Quicksilver as the main stats at 7 yellow stars and 7 red stars. Before we start, a big shout out for Borland, because he finally has representation on Marvel Strike Force. His dog is transgender, and he hopes that Scopely is not going to offend him, and this is because Cosmo in the comics is a male dog, but on the MCU is a female dog. So congratulations for Boylan to finally have his family represented in Marvel Strike Force. Okay, so with that said, let's get started. Let's take a look at the stats of Cosmo. So you can see right here, they have the 7 yellow 5 red, but we are going to normalize these and take a look at the stats. Okay, so the stats for Cosmo, you're gonna have health of 870,000, pretty decent, pretty average for the current meta. When you compare these to Quicksilver, it's gonna be far beyond that, so Quicksilver has a lot higher, but that makes sense because Quicksilver is a character that uses dark promotion credits, so he should have some additional value, so that's fine. Then Cosmo, in terms of damage, is going to have 54,000, 41,000 in terms of armor, then focus 24,000, resistance 20,000. When you compare that to Quicksilver, we have the damage is lower, the armor is a lot higher, and the focus and resistance are also higher as well. This is because the kit of Cosmo is between a hybrid between support and also controller. Is going to remove positive effects from the enemies, he's going to give barrier and so on. So it's going to be nice to have that additional focus and also the additional survivability from the armor. Okay, taking a look at Korg. Korg, the health is lower than Cosmo. Cosmo, once again, is going to heal up, give the barrier. Korg, he has lesser health, he's going to taunt, and if he dies, he's going to revive and he's going to give defense up and deflects to the team, which gives you additional benefits. So overall, the fact that Korg has lower health is not a big deal. Now, in compensation, instead of having lower health, he has massive armor, and when you compare the armor of Korg to Quicksilver, like it's 3 times higher. It's literally unbelievable how much armor he has. So Korg is going to be very strong against characters that do not deal piercing damage, and there are a lot of characters that don't deal piercing damage, so this is gonna be a massive tank in your face. Decent amount of resistance, nice amount of focus. The focus for him is not super important as he doesn't do many effects. Okay, now we have the new Star-Lord. We have Star-Lord Annihilation. He's gonna be some kind of a glass cannon. He doesn't have a lot of health, but in terms of speed, he is somewhat decent. Not amazing, let's be honest, not amazing. 115 is not amazing. The damage output, once again, is nice, but it's not impressive. The armor is okay. The focus is very, very high. And this is because he applies blind to the enemies, and as you guys know, blind is extremely important. And then we also have the resistance, which is not great. So we have to be careful with Star-Lord. We probably have to put him in the corner, because otherwise he's gonna get slapped very, very hard. Now, in terms of Thor, the Infinity War version, which is one of the characters people are most hyped about, the health is huge. As you guys can see, 870,000 without buffs. It's massive. Then he has 82,000 damage. It's very, very impressive, because every time he faces an enemy protector, he has 50% chance of attacking those enemy protectors and remove their charges and so on. So having this huge amount of damage is very, very good. On top of that, he also has abilities that do piercing damage. So this damage is going to be extremely effective against all kinds of enemies. And if you guys don't know, piercing damage is always better, because it faces the test of time. It will always be relevant in the meta because of that piercing damage. Okay, the armor pretty decent as well. Slightly less than Star-Lord, but it has the health to compensate. The focus is not as good, but once again, this is without the buffs. So when we take a look at the team fully buffed, we're gonna see that it's not that bad. We are taking a look at this right now, because we are going to take a look also at the flexibility of the characters. Okay, finally for Thor, the resistance is only 16,000, which is concerning, and the speed is just 100. Yikes, what the hell? So yeah, the new Thor has exactly the same speed as the old Thor, which is not great. The compensation factor is going to get 3rd meter whenever the allies are attacked. So it helps out, but once again we have that situation that we are exposing ourselves to the enemies. We are gonna get slapped in the face before we attack, and that's a little bit dangerous. Now, in terms of Nova, as you can see, the stats are just through the roof. So he's gonna have 1.5 million. This puts him, in terms of health, very, very close to Morgan Le Fay. In terms of damage, the same thing, very, very powerful as well. The only difference is that he has a lot more attacks that attack multiple enemies. So this is gonna be super convenient. The armor is also through the roof. The focus is somewhat decent, and then we have the resistance. Now, in terms of speed, I know that the speed is around 130. Is it going to be more than Kang? Is it going to be more than Red Hulk? I don't think it's more than Red Hulk, but we have to see in the future to have the full confirmation. But the speed is around 130 speed. It's extremely fast. On top of that, he also gets tons and tons of turn meters, so many times he's going to have 2 turns, while the other characters only have 1 turn. So it's very impressive in terms of the speed. Now, on the full team, this is a different story. As you guys can see, the health of the characters goes through the roof, but is not massive. It's not massive because, once again, we have mechanics of defense ups, we have the flex, we have safeguards, and we have a block amount increase. Block amount increase, that means that whenever you take damage and you have deflect, the damage is going to be reduced by 45% rather than 25%. So even that these characters don't have the biggest amount of health possible, they have those other mechanics that keep this team in check with huge mitigation. This is how it's called. Armor, deflects, and block amount is called mitigation. So yeah, in terms of the mitigation, this team is extremely powerful. Okay, so on the full team, the stats are way more comparable to Quicksilver. You can see right here that we are on the range of 1.1, 1.2 million health. This is, of course, without ISO 8. In terms of the damage, you can see that he also gets a lot higher. And, okay, the damage doesn't get higher because it's Alliance Wars only. So that's the only problem. Outside of Alliance Wars, they're not going to have, like, massive damage. But in Alliance Wars, for example, you'd get here additional 25%, and it would be insane. So you can see, once again, around 82,000, which is massive. Okay, let's delete this. Let's go back to the normal numbers so we don't confuse ourselves. In terms of armor, as you can see, this team is once again very, very solid. On top of huge armor, they have defense up, they have the deflects with additional block amount, That means that it's gonna be very, very hard to deal damage to these characters unless you have massive amount of piercing damage. This team is gonna be super, super tanky if you don't have the piercing damage to deal against them. In terms of focus, as you guys can see, the focus now is much higher than we see before. This is thanks to the buffs of Star-Lord. We have 30,000 pretty much across the board. In terms of resistance, it's still not very high, but once again, because we have the defense up and the safeguard, most of the times the enemies are still going to struggle quite a lot in terms of applying negative effects to us. Then we have, once again, the speed of the characters, 115 for Star-Lord, 100 for Thor, and around 130 for Nova. So it's not the fastest team ever, but they have the survivability, they have the mitigation, they have the buffs, they have the deflects, they have all those things that will keep them alive either way. And then on top of that, Nova will throw a bunch of negative effects to the enemies, clear positive effects from the enemies, and also protect your team, and also give more turn meter to your team to compensate the lack of speed that they have. So as you guys can see, this is going to be a team very similar to Darkhold. This is going to be a team with a lot of sustain, a lot of mitigation, a lot of survivability. On top of that, they also have barrier from Nova, they also have barrier from Cosmo. So this is a team that is going to be very strong on defense in any kind of game mode. Now, based on the speed and stats of Nova, is definitely going to be part of the arena meta. So keep this in mind. If you are thinking about slacking on Nova, then you're gonna get slapped very hard in terms of arena. Let's take a look at the abilities of this team and see exactly what I'm talking about. So let's start with Nova. Look at the kit from Nova. This is all the positive and negative abilities that he applies to the enemies or to the allies. So with the basic, he's going to clear positive effects to multiple characters, and he's going to apply deflects to his team. So once again, reducing the survivability of the enemy team, increasing his own. Then with a special, he's gonna flip defense up, flip two additional flip two additional positive effects, apply disrupt, apply heal block, and apply stun to one character. The other are to multiple characters. Nova together with Apocalypse is going to dominate the arena meta. There is no escape from there. This is absolutely guaranteed that Nova will be part of the arena meta with Apocalypse. Once again, he has this stun, turn 1, once again the speed is very fast, so this is going to stop the enemies from doing anything. Now with the ultimate character skilled by the ultimate cannot be revived, so he's also going to counter any kind of Dormammus on defense in arena or in other game modes. Clear all negative effects, give barrier to all allies, apply deflects to all allies as well, clear negative effects from the ally team, and then we have the deflects. This is the field effect, you can see right here. So you do the ultimate, giving you the barrier and clearing all these things, and then you have the field effect that is going to clear more negative effects, is going to heal you and the entire team as well. Then he has a mini revive with 50% health. So this is like, it's mind-boggling. With this character, you are going to have the same system that the Eternals have. If you push the Eternals below 50% health, it's going to heal up the entire team the same way. It's literally the same way. Whenever they go below 50%, they heal up. And nothing stops you from having Dormammu together with Nova, together with Apocalypse, with all getting this additional 50% health. It's just insane. You are going to give the mechanics from the Eternals to all other characters on your team. Beyond that, every time one of your allies gets deflected, and this is all allies, it doesn't have to be Knowhere allies, they are going to get 5% additional damage up to 50% additional damage. So there is no way that Nova is not going to be part of the arena meta and part of all game modes as well. On his own team or on a hybrid team, it doesn't really matter. And that's a good thing about the Knowhere team, and I really wish we had more teams like this, is that yes, they work great with each other, but they also work great with other teams as well. The level of flexibility on these characters is huge, so keep that in mind when you are trying to make hybrid teams with these characters. Okay, so beyond that, on his passive, he's going to clear negative effects from himself, is going to heal by 15%, and once again he has additional 50% heal when he drops below 75% health, so he has the mechanics from the Eternals 2 times per game. 2 times per game. This is literally insane. On top of that, if he gets attacked, he's going to get 25% speed bar if he's charging, and once again he's going to give 20% block amount to anyone on the team that has deflect. So this guy, Knowhere, is just beyond insane, not only once again on the Knowhere team, also together with other characters like Dormammu, like Apocalypse, like Morgan Le Fay. Whoever you want to put together with this guy is going to be massive. Okay, that's it for Knowhere. As you guys can see, this team is extremely powerful. And we also have the mechanics of the other characters. We have vulnerabilities, we have blinds, we have ability blocks, we have positive effects, we have barrier, we have clearing negative effects. The team is just massive. The team is just massive. So let's take a look at some of the gameplay and see exactly how they perform, because only like this we can really understand what the hell is going on here. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look at the footage from the developers. This is against the Gamma, so you can see that Red Hulk is gonna go first. This is because Red Hulk gets 50% turn meter on spawn plus speed up, so that allows him to overcome the speed of Knowhere. Red Hulk speed is also 133 speed, while Knowhere is gonna be around 130, maybe 127, something very high, just not as high as Red Hulk, and probably not as high as Kang. Okay, so he starts off by applying trauma, stun, and flipping out those positive effects. Turn 1, this is turn 1. One of the best abilities in the game is turn 1 stuns. And not only applies stun, he also applies trauma. This is just massive, and this is why it's so important. Like this, he's going to be able to counter all kinds of enemies, including Dormammu, Apocalypse, and so on. He can literally destroy any kind of enemy that you are facing because of this trauma plus stun on first turn. Okay, now we have Thor. Thor is the second character to have a turn. He's slower than everyone else, but because he's getting constantly turn meter, he catches up in terms of speed. So even that his speed is around 100, on this match against the Gamma team, because all of them go first, is going to have an effective speed of around 120 to 125, and that's why he will go before Star-Lord Annihilation. With Thor, you can apply ability block to the enemies. This is going to be great because you can apply ability block to Braun, and then Braun will not be able to apply immunity to his allies. Also, Thor has on his passive ability that he can attack the Protector enemy, and that's going to be She-Hulk in this specific case, and he's going to remove charges from She-Hulk, and he also can remove charges from Hulk, because sometimes Hulk has charges as well, but because he doesn't have charges here, Thor is going to attack She-Hulk instead. So you can see that she has one charge now, but then Thor is going to attack again and remove that charge. Okay, now we have Star-Lord Annihilation. He's going to apply blind to Braun, which was a little bit unnecessary. Probably here the blind to Red Hulk would be better. He still got the blind because this is in Alliance War, so you can blind two people at the same time. And the Cosmo completely destroyed Braun. That was hilarious. Now we have the Safeguard, Defense Up, and tons of deflects. Remember that as soon as you activate the Battlefield ability, each of these deflects are going to give you 5% additional damage to each of the characters. Okay, Thor once again with his special ability, I think, or okay, this is the ultimate ability. This is the ultimate ability. This does massive piercing damage to the enemies. So any kind of armor or defense up that the enemies have, Thor is going to bypass. And once again, his lack of speed is being compensated by the turn meter that he gets whenever the enemies attack. Okay, Nova now with the basic. I think that's the basic. And you can see that he destroyed the Abomination, and that's why he had the kill animation, and then he did the animation again for the adjacent ally. Here we have Star-Lord with his ultimate ability, I think, so he's shredding through all the enemies, and that's it, they got destroyed. Star-Lord attacks primary target and adjacent targets with all of his abilities, if I remember correctly. And now we have Cosmo giving the barrier, doing some healing, clearing negative effects away, and there you go. And now we have Quark with the killing animation, I guess. It's the killing animation. That was lame AF. Anyway, now we have the Darkhold match. Look at this. So Knowhere is going to be faster. And this is a Morgan Le Fay with additional speed because of Thor, because he's a mystic character. So that means that Nova absolutely has to be faster than 125% speed or 125 speed. That's why I think he's around 130 or maybe 127. Okay, here we go. We have now the enemies attacking. We have Strange Supreme, we have Agatha. All of them are giving additional speed or turn bar to Thor Infinity War, and Thor is smashing that Wong because Wong is the only protector on the team. If the enemy team does not have any protectors, then Thor will not be able to have this additional attack. Okay, now we have the Trauma and the Disrupt on that Dormammu. So Dormammu is gonna get slapped very hard. And if you guys didn't notice, we can put back a little bit. If you guys didn't notice, Dormammu had stun with Trauma. This is why Nova is going to change the arena meta, because the stun with the Trauma early on, first turn, is just massive, it's just too powerful. Okay, once again, Wong with his taunt, doing some healing, clearing some negative effects away. Now we still have Safeguard, and we still have defense up, but we no longer have deflects, so we are not going to have the massive damage reduction from the deflects. Okay, now we have Cosmo. Cosmo is gonna clear all those negative effects away and heal up the team. I think that's the special ability, I'm not sure. I think, yeah, it's the special, because the ultimate ability also gives turn bar. Okay, Korg giving defense up and deflects to everyone. Excellent. Now, defense ups and deflects, they are going to be protected by the Safeguard. Because they only had one, of course, the deflects were removed. Agatha now with the stun. That's fine, he was able to resist. He still has a slow. Now we have Nova. This is what ability? Okay, I think this is the one that gives... Yeah, this is the ultimate ability that gives the battlefield effect. Unfortunately, we don't have the icon representation of the battlefield effect. You saw Thor now doing massive damage to the enemies with his ultimate, shredding through everyone. Morgan Le Fay also getting shredded by Star-Lord Annihilation. And they activated the revive, and that's pretty much it. This is the end of Darkhold. They got slapped so hard. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. As you guys can see, this team is going to be massive. They have tons and tons of health, mitigation, healing, barrier, defense subs, deflects. They have so many things going on for them. They are just massive, and like I said at the beginning of the video, this is a very flexible team based on all the tags that they have. Some of these characters might even be convenient to take for Dark Dimension 5 and Dark Dimension 6, and then as a whole, individually they are going to perform very well, but as a whole they are going to be massive, of course, in Alliance Wars offense. But I think the biggest problem is going to be Alliance Wars defense, and then we will have them in Cosmic Crucible for sure. And that, as I mentioned, together with the defense subs, the deflects and so on, they might have some additional synergies as well with other teams like Rebirth, because they also synergize with the block chance, the barrier, the healing, and so on. Beyond that, clearly Nova is going to dominate the arena meta, so keep that in mind whenever the Nova Scourge event shows up. And then make sure you check out the channel, because we'll have full guides on how to approach that Scourge, which characters you have to get up, and then exactly how to attack the main enemies with full gameplay videos and so on. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found the video helpful, entertaining, anything like that, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.